Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome into the Gramlich and McLean podcast, presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and McLean. I hope everybody had an amazing Thanksgiving. Both of ours were wonderful and excited for this big weekend of college football. And guys, we're very thankful for each and every one of you that tune in to our podcast. If you would, subscribe on YouTube. We're trying to hit that 10K mark. We're getting close. That would just mean so much if you can do that. Subscribe if you listen on Apple Podcasts. Just hit that subscribe button. It would be awesome. It would be a great Thanksgiving present to us if you believe in Thanksgiving presents. But so many games to get to. Mac will join us in just a second as we talk about these big rivalry games. And don't forget, we have partnered with our great friends over at Rowback. Use our code GMPOD for 20% off. They are doing their massive Black Friday sale this whole week, and then it stops next week, but you can still use our code at that time, and then you'll get 20% as well all the way through Christmas. So make sure you get some good stuff. They just released, I might have to get some for my son and for my husband, matching Santa polos, but Santa is dunking. Yeah, that just take all my money, Roback. That you know me too well. So make sure you use our code GMPOD for 20% off your purchase at roback.com. But now it's time to get to these games with Eric McLean. Let's dive in. All right, Mac, let's get into our Big Four breakdown. Let's start with arguably the biggest game in the country this weekend, College Game Day. You're missing out. You know what? Forget you. We don't need you anyway. Number 18, South Carolina, is traveling to number 17, Clemson. Noon on ESPN. Clemson's a 2.5-point favorite. There's so many interesting facets of this game. Mac, I'm going to go ahead and hit you with this. South Carolina is 8-3 against the spread this season, which is interesting. And because generally Vegas gives about 3 points for home field advantage, it feels like Vegas is saying this is a pick-em between these two teams. We, of course, know, I am just reading facts, that South Carolina has beaten Clemson once in the last 10 years. So there is that. But I'm just here with facts. Beyond that, this is a really good South Carolina team. This is a really good Clemson team. It's just going to be exciting. I cannot wait for this game. Noon is a little, okay. But in the end, hopefully less angry, drunk people when it's all said and done. So that's good.
Hey, to me, all that means is don't stop drinking from Thanksgiving. All right. Keep it going. Keep rolling.
You don't have to tell South Carolina fans that, Mac.
I love this. I love this shade. Here's the deal. This is KG, and you and I are both young in our rivalry. I think the rivalry both started for us when we stepped on campus. So 2011. So we've only been in this thing, 13 years. That's all we are a teen. We are a fresh teen in this rivalry. But I think I feel pretty confident in saying this is the biggest game ever. This is the most implications. This is for everything in regards to postseason play. Because I know South Carolina fans feel very strongly if they win this game, they should be in. I know this Clemson fan knows if Clemson wins this game, they should be in. So it's very interesting to me, when you look at the ramifications. I don't know when there was a bigger game. And maybe we can have Nick look and we can talk about it Monday for like a BCS bowl or something. But only Clemson has been in one to one of those. So I don't know. I just think that this is the biggest one ever. And again, it does stink that it's at noon. It does stink College Game Day is not there. It is what it is. But hey, the people in this state understand this is the Super Bowl. This means everything. And I am so excited for it. I cannot wait. There hasn't been one really feel like this, even in these last couple of years. When, South Carolina beat Clemson at home a handful of years ago, I don't think anyone thought that would happen. Now it did, and good for them. But this is a game where really, honestly, I'd say a lot of Clemson fans are scared, which kind of pisses me off, to be honest. Y'all need to stick your chests out and be gamers. Let's go.
Let's just say worried. Maybe not scared of a team that's beaten you once in the last 10 years.
Scared. Go to Twitter. A lot of these Twitter soldiers are scared? And it's annoying.
Interesting. I mean, there is something to be said that Shane Beamer has beaten you, right? Like the previous coaches before Spurrier had not beaten you. So that was a little different. Shane Beamer has actually done it. This is the smallest spread that we've seen for this game in a very long time. I looked back, Mac, 2 years ago, the game that South Carolina won, Clemson was a 14.5-point favorite. So This spread,
Crazy.
I don't think it's been in
Crazy.
single digits in like 10 years. So it's a big deal. And it's a big deal in the state of South Carolina. And Mac and I, of course, are in this state. So we understand how much it means. Mac, let's start with the quarterbacks here because I think there's a lot of conversation with that. We're very familiar with Cade Klubnik. We know his strengths, his weaknesses. He knows that. He's very self aware when he came on our podcast. He's been playing well. Really, the Louisville game was just kind of, it seems like a one off because other than that, he's played great. Well, Georgia, obviously, and Louisville, the two losses. But that tells you a lot that if Cade doesn't play well, Clemson's not going to win. And then with Lenora
Yeah.
Sellers, he's a guy that is rising steadily. His legs are dangerous. I think what makes him really dangerous is if the play breaks down, once he starts scrambling, not only with his legs, but also making plays, it's almost like he's more comfortable when things break down than maybe Cade is. So that could be really interesting in a rivalry game. Where do you see this quarterback matchup?
Yeah, I definitely think two's the best player on the field. I mean, I think that he's like there. He's made it. I think he's shown me enough this year, production wise, taking care of the football. Just being a guy that understands what he's going to do, what he wants to do, it is impressive. And again, the pocket awareness that might need to be on full display. This South Carolina pass defense and
Yeah,
the
they're
rush
legit.
defense, has been really good. And they've got two guys that have burst onto the scene this year, one being a 6th or 5th year senior, the other being a very true freshman. Both have looked great at different times. Some have, faded a little bit recently, but again, that pass defense in general, the DBs, they've been fun to watch and they've been terrorizing a lot of people all season long. But I just have to think, this receiving attack that Clemson has and the confidence that they've gotten, good to have that Citadel game, guys back running wide open, running downfield for
Yeah.
themselves to remember, hey, yeah, I can still do this because Bryant Wesco, kind of disappeared there for a little bit. It's good to see that. You get Brenningstool back, fully healthy, sounds like, ready to go. And then just the factor from, Antonio Williams, and this being an in-state game, grew up here, played high school ball right down the street. I know he's going to be really motivated. So I do give, Cade the lean there, the nod there from the quarterback position.
Yeah.
I don't think that's crazy by any standpoint. But then you look at what Lenorse has done. He has really impressed me. And again, y'all know I live in Columbia, and I have a lot of
Poor
friends,
Mac.
acquaintances that are Gamecock
Right.
fans. And I remember early, like maybe the Alabama game, them just saying, this guy's terrible. We got to get him out of here.
Yeah.
We got to do this and that. I'm like, what are you talking about? This guy's good. I hope you do kick him out because he's good. He's really good. He's big. He's learning. He's getting better. The deep ball has been fantastic of late, so Clemson has to pay attention to that. But I'm not going to sit here and boost him up too much, right? Like at the end of the day, it is rivalry week. I think he is an exceptional player. I think South Carolina's had a very good plan for him of recently. But in this game of this magnitude at Death Valley, Clemson, South Carolina, it's a different ball game. So we'll see if he's able to continue that upward trend that he's been on or what that looks like.
Yeah, I think obviously he is a rising star in the game. I think Cade Klubnik gets the nod. He has experience in this rivalry, which is huge. He has a win in this rivalry, which is really big. And I'm just curious to see how much they lean on Lenora Sellers. 30 passing attempts against Missouri, his second or third highest of the season. But they really put the ball in his hands. He had 5 passing touchdowns. I mean, he was great in that game, 70% of his passes. But they haven't really done that necessarily until that Missouri game. So we'll see what they do in terms of kind of putting the ball in his hands. And a lot of it too, Mac, with, I guess Cade isn't really considered young anymore, but Lenoris is a young quarterback. Which quarterback's going to make the mistake, right? I mean, that's
Right.
big in this game. I see that very similarly for the Miami-Syracuse game we're going to talk about next. Which quarterback can take care of the football in rivalry games, in games where there's a lot on the line? You got to take care of it. Cade has taken great care of the ball, especially compared to last year. Sellers, only 6 interceptions on the season. So both guys have done a good job of that, Mac.
Yeah, I'll say one thing that probably is the biggest, differentiator and just looking at, again, what they do well, the things that they kind of bring to the table. Lenoris has been hit a lot. He's been sacked like 25 plus times. Cade right at 15, 16. That's going to be a fascinating thing too. Like how much does that, again, the environment, the pressure of the game, the pressure of going to a playoff, all these different things surrounding it, You have a really young guy and you have a veteran who we've seen grow up, who takes the biggest step and solidifies that is going to be really impressive to see.
For sure, Mac. And then when it comes to the lines of scrimmage, right? This South Carolina front seven has been pretty nasty. They've been getting after the quarterback. This Clemson O-line that is trying to get healthy, that has had some injuries that really hurt you with Elijah Thurman going down. How well can they protect Cade? And on the flip side for Clemson,
Right.
we'll see, Peter Woods is going to be out there. How much of an impact can he make? TJ Parker, can he continue to build upon what he's doing? Sammy Brown in his first rivalry game, Barrett Carter in his last. Can they get after Lenore Sellers and put him on the ground? I think we talk quarterbacks, but a lot of it's going to come down to these front sevens for both these teams.
No, it definitely is. And just, starting with, South Carolina and what Clemson's going to see. I mean, they get after it. They get after rushing the passer, especially their starting group. Now, that's about all they get it from. That first, 4 or 5 that run out there. Other than that, it drops off quickly. So you have to know where they are. Like, you have got to know where Kyle Kennard is. He is a big dude. You've played him a bunch. Clemson's played him every year of his career. He was at Georgia Tech, and then he transferred here. So they've seen this guy, and he's had 0 sacks against Clemson his entire career. Obviously, that might change with this team. Number 5, he's a guy that, again, got to know where he is. And then the young freshman, number 6. So 5 and 6, where are they? Got to find them. He's smaller guy, skinnier, big in stature, 6'6", has great moves. But it seems like one of those guys, if you can get him, I always love going against the skinny guy. If I can just get him, it's over. It's game over. But again, they have their respect factor. They will get after the quarterback and will try to make things difficult for Cade. And then, of course, in the back end as well, I mean, those guys get their hands on the football. Again, their starters, have like 12, 11 interceptions on the year. Just the starting group there, they're going to make things happen, make it really difficult. So that is going to be a challenge. On the other side with Clemson and, what they provide, there's obviously very impressive talent. We just haven't seen that talent consistently be on the same page for 60 minutes of football. And everyone said that. You hear Barrett Carter saying that. You hear Coach Sweeney saying that. You hear myself. All these people have been saying that. When and if does it happen? Does it happen in this game? Does it happen in postseason? Does it happen whatever? Do we ever see it? This would be a pretty good time to get on the same page at the same time. Okay. And I think, again, the injury bug, do we see Woodaz back fully healthy, ready to go? Who plays and lines up at safety? There are some interesting concerns. And even on the flip side for the Clemson offensive line, it does sound like Tristan will be back at left tackle. It does seem like Marcus Tate can go at left guard, which is good. You have your guys in the right position. But it is going to be a battle, y'all. Seriously, I cannot wait to watch this. I'm very excited about this game.
Oh, yeah, me too. Now, we do have to address the elephant in the room before we make a pick here and get on to these other games. Clemson special teams. If they have a situation, it's not funny, Eric McLean. If they have a situation where they get another kick blocked or there's a bad punt or what, like, it's a game like this, Mac, where that could lose you the football game. So please, Lord, if you're going to lose to South Carolina, do not let it be because of a blocked kick or whatever. Like, I think that Clemson fans, just let's talk as Clemson fans for a second, Mac. I think Clemson fans understand that South Carolina is good, and this is probably the best South Carolina team Clemson's faced in a decade. But Clemson fans are going to lose their minds if you lose the game because of a ridiculous special teams error. So that cannot happen.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah. No, there's zero doubt about that. And quite frankly, I mean, let's be really real. You're not attempting 40-yard field goals. You're not attempting anything less than or more than in the 30, 35 maybe, because that low trajectory, it takes time.
Extra points only.
And maybe even let's don't kick. Let's just kick extra points, to be honest.
No.
Let's go for it or
go for
punt.
2. Go for 2.
I'm cool with that too. I'm cool with that too. Trust me, I'm cool with that. Just because simply the incompetence of blocking on a line that I could probably do right now. Me and KG could go out there and we could block for a field goal. All right?
Not me.
Maybe. That's maybe a little stretch. I did it for 4 years. Like, I know what it takes. Okay. So anyway, yes, I would love not to see that. I would love to see no beamer ball in any form or fashion. Let's just play football, real football. With that said, Tigers by 90. I think these boys roll and make a freaking statement. Let's go.
Okay. I think Tigers by 3,
Three?
5, 7, something like that.
All right, great.
And obviously, it's not going to be a game-winning field goal. So something else ends up being 3.
Yeah.
But I still think if you think
Down by
Clemson's going to
4,
win, yeah.
slinging a
If you think
touchdown. I
Clemson's
love
going to
that.
win, you take Clemson minus 2.5. Like, I feel like
For
that
sure.
makes a lot of sense there. And I think that place will be rocking. So cannot wait for that game. And then, depending on what else happens all around the world, we're going to be talking, no matter what, we'll be talking playoff implications on Monday from that game.
Yeah.
Mac, speaking of playoff implications, let's get to number 8, Miami at Syracuse, 3:30 ESPN. How about the lineup right here on a Saturday? After I'm full of Thanksgiving turkey, I'm going to sit and watch. Well, I'm going to watch the huddle first to lead me in. Then I'm going to watch South Carolina Clemson, noon on ESPN, and then Miami Syracuse at 3:30. It's perfect. It just leads in right on ESPN. Pressure, 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 Mac. Syracuse playing with house money, playing at home.
Yep.
That dome is going to be rocking. Miami playing with all the pressure. How do they handle it? I'm so fascinated by this game.
I am too. And I think this is going to be a really, really big deal. Now, I do want to start by this conversation by giving Jordan Reed a big shout out. And subsequently, by doing that, I'm giving Cam Ward a big shout out, who just became his quarterback number 1 on the big boards. We've been saying it for a while here. Nice to have that validation from Jay Reed, who knows what the heck he's talking about. This guy has been on a tear. And so now, you've got that. The NFL part is going to take care of itself, and it's going to be really fun, to see that and see where he goes. And the Senior Bowl went down and invited Cam in person and all these great things, which is awesome, and how it should be for a guy of that magnitude and a player of that caliber. But now, let's go get some rings. Let's go get some jewelry on our way out of this thing and become cemented, as the greatest Kane quarterback to ever wear the logo. Like that's the opportunity, really that you have here with the stats. And if you can put a national championship together with that, a conference championship that Miami has never won, an ACC championship conference game there in Charlotte. So, excited to see that, excited to see how they handle the pressure. Can they harness that energy and that, kind of drive and play that we saw in the second half against Wake Forest, where it was relatively mistake-free? Defense cranked it up by 1 billion. And again, you just see the artistry of Cam Ward and delivering and painting this canvas on a football field of getting the ball, to all these different great players. So I'm excited just to see that and see how he handles that moment, because obviously I think that'll be another indicator on how he does transition to another level in the NFL. But this is a big, big deal. There's a lot of mental aspects of this game, not just, oh, by the way, Syracuse is really good and they're going to be a hard test for you.
Yeah, and I think let's start there, because I think Syracuse is really good. For example, if Syracuse wins this game, Mac, they would finish 9-3. It'd be the most wins for Syracuse in 24 years. So
put them in the playoff. Put them in the playoff.
Why not? Absolute credit and kudos to Fran Brown and what he's done year 1 in Syracuse. Mac, we talked about it going into November. Like, can Syracuse change the narrative? They won games in November. They weren't perfect, but they did it. Massive change and moving in the right direction for Syracuse. Brent Axe talked to us about this game way back in April. It's going to be lit. I think Syracuse fans are going to show up. That dome, Mac, you've played there. It can get very loud. It's going to be an environment. And like we said, Syracuse has nothing to lose. 8-4 is still an incredible year for Syracuse. 9-3, you're ranked. You're going to perhaps the prestigious Pop-Tart Bowl. Things get very, very interesting. We talked about this with the quarterbacks in South Carolina Clemson. Kyle McCord, he's been exceptional this season outside of 1 game. He's got to limit turnovers here. Cam Ward, he has only thrown 2 picks in his last, 5 games, maybe a fumble or 2, right, that have been costly. Whoever takes care of the ball. And then for me, my question with this too, Mac, is Miami's defense. Was that second half against Wake a turning point for you? Because you don't need to you're not going to hold Syracuse to 14. I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
I think Syracuse will score because they are a very good offense, but you've got to I need the Miami defense to step up and don't make it an absolute shootout, because an absolute shootout on the road with Syracuse fans showing up and being there, that could be a problem.
No question. And again, I think you feel okay about that if that happens, if it is a shootout, just because, again, you've relatively had to do that all year long. But at the end of the day, like, handle your business going into postseason play. Make it so there is no doubt about who you are, about what this team's abilities are, and make people feel really good about it, and make this committee, if there's any stumbling in the ACC championship game, and if you lose or come up short, don't let them think for a second this team shouldn't be in. And so you have that opportunity going against a very good team, here in Syracuse, and just to see what do you want to do. And now on the other side, like you said, with Syracuse, what an opportunity to be, again, cemented as legends in Coach Fran Brown's first ever team. The momentum that you can grab from this is enormous. And it's really exciting just to see what a team like this can do with a win of this nature. And you pointed out the mindset shift. This is a team that it was a prove it to me that you can win right now. Prove it to me that you can win and stay healthy and play at a really high level in November. And they have done that, which is exciting.
Yes.
And quite frankly, win or lose this game, that doesn't change for me. I think they have made a little bit of a difference. I'll tell you the biggest thing that I'm excited to watch in this game, other than, you kind of know, I'm not going to say it, but is the wide receiver play from both teams. These are the two best wide receiver cores in the ACC, and maybe one of the best in the country. I think Miami's is the best in the country. I think Syracuse is right up there and top 3, top 5. I mean, you look at the skill set, you look at the uniqueness of each and every guy. I mean, they have dudes, and it's going to be really fun. This is going to be NFL tape, NFL dudes on both sides, not just Miami, on both sides that are going to be looking to put on a show, and I cannot wait for that.
You read my mind. I was literally going to say that next. The wide receivers in this game are electric. And then I think the other key too, Mac, is Syracuse's O-line at times has looked gettable, right? They've played better as of late, but there's been some issues there. Yeah. Can Miami wreak some havoc? Can they get after Kyle McCord? Because, hey, Kyle McCord will drop back and pass that thing, okay? He is going to pass the ball probably 40 times. So you're going to have some opportunities there. Mac, some Miami fans have not been super happy with me in the comments because I've been a little hard on Miami because I don't know. I want to see a little more. And I feel like, as you've said, they have the roster. Like, they have the roster to go win the whole thing. So I just want to see a little more. I think Miami wins. I think Syracuse covers. So I think Syracuse plus 11. I think it's uncomfortable.
Glad you specified.
Part of that is because I really like Syracuse. I like what Fran Brown's doing, and I think this offense is electric, and I think that place is going to be rocking. So,
right.
Cuse covers, Miami wins. What do you think?
I'm gonna go opposite of you. I think the Cam Ward show is like fully unlocked. From here on out, I think that this guy is – I think he's trying to win a trophy, which is important. I think he's trying to win a ring, which is important. And he just, to me, is that type of guy that when the lights get brightest, the pressure gets the most cranked up, he's ready for that. He is that. And that's where we are right now. And it has relatively been that way. Like, it is playoff football every game, November on. But this is like for real. Because if you lose, you're done. You're out of the ACC championship. And quite frankly, you're probably not in the playoff. And then go train, because I know you're not playing in the bowl game. Go train for whatever. And so I don't think he's done playing yet. I think that he's going to have that mindset. And a lot of guys, we kind of are so singularly focused on the quarterbacks. That just is what it is. But Xavier Restrepo, Horton, Martinez, all these guys, this offensive line, Jalen Rivers, defensive guys, Maui Noah, and so on and so forth. I don't think they're ready to be done yet. And I think we see a really fired up Canes team that delivers a pretty classic and kind of a look at us type of moment right here in the last week of the season.
It'd be great for the ACC. I'd love to see it. Sorry, Miami fans. I think Syracuse covers, so come at me. But, we'll see. It's going to be fun. I just like everything that's at stake in these games is really fun for a final weekend of college football. Mac, let's finish up our Big Four here. Georgia Tech is going to number 10, Georgia. Georgia's a 19.5-point favorite. That game is tonight, 7:30 on ABC, a perfect Friday night primetime game to watch. Can't wait to sit down and watch it. Massive number here. Georgia's a 19.5-point favorite. Fun fact, Georgia is 3-8 against the spread this season and 2-5 at home. So they have really not been covering.
Yikes.
If you missed our Brent Key interview, Mac did a phenomenal job. I was calling a game, so I wasn't able to be on it, but Mac was fantastic. I loved it. And just I mean, like whatever Brent Key says, just put it in my veins. I mean, if I was a Georgia Tech fan, I would be so all in with this guy. I just feel like he is
Yeah.
the perfect fit for Georgia Tech. And what he said about Aaron Philo, he was very complimentary. I'm curious what they do. I feel like perhaps he starts Haynes King, maybe for the first series, just because giving the credit to him, senior, whatever. And then you go with Aaron Philo. Or if you just can't afford to do that because it's Georgia, I would go with Aaron Philo from the beginning. I think Aaron Philo is special. And if you unleash him fully into this game, to me, some crazy things could happen, especially with this
For
number,
sure.
but overall with the game in general.
Yeah. I think you give Philo that confidence. I think you
Yeah,
run him out there first.
I
And
agree.
you say all week, you're the guy. Since last week, you're the guy moving forward. Haynes, we love you. You can't throw the ball effectively. We're going to have
You're hurt.
packages. You're still going to play. We need you. We need you. But he's got to be the quarterback. He has to lead them. And we need you to support him. We need you to help him. Let's go beat these guys. Let's go be legendary. That's the conversation I'd be having. That's exactly how I would do it. And I think Haynes is number one, old enough. Number two, wants to be a coach. So I think mentally he knows I can't beat Georgia with no
Yes.
arm. Like it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And so I think he wants Georgia Tech to be the best and be at their best. And we'll see if that happens. That would be my game plan. I hope Jamal Haynes is good and ready to go because guess what? We're running you, baby. We're running this football. And based on what we've seen, from this Georgia defense as of late, especially last week, Georgia Tech with all the motions and all the eye candy, let's get them running. Let's get them moving. Let's try to tell, what they're doing defensively with those motions and formations and getting into different sets. And then let's run the same play over and over and over until they stop it. And then you can let that young boy throw too. So I'm fascinated to see it. Is this going to be similar to what I said about Miami, a very big statement game for Georgia, or is Georgia Tech going to find a way? I don't think there's middle ground, KG. I think Georgia Tech wins a nail biter, or Georgia Tech wins a nail biter, or Georgia blows them out. That's what I think it is. I don't think there's any in between ground in this game.
Interesting, man. Okay. Well, I think there is a lot of intrigue here. Some of these games in recent years have been close, even when there's no business being close. And this is probably the best Georgia Tech team that has played in this game since maybe 2014 when Georgia Tech made the Orange Bowl. So it has been a while since we've had this caliber of a Georgia Tech team in this team in this game, even though Georgia has won 19 of the last 22. I think you unleash Aaron Philo, you ride or die with him, win or lose with him, let him fully go because you have the wide receivers to make plays. Him and Singleton had a really good vibe going in that NC State game. And then my other question is, can Georgia Tech get some pressure on Carson Beck? Because Carson Beck, when under pressure, has not looked great this season, except the Clemson game. He looked great in that one. But that's the other key, right? Can this defense give you enough? That's my other big question with the Yellow Jackets.
And they've stepped up. They're right in the upper middle of the pack statistically in the ACC, which there's a lot of great defenses in the ACC. So I think that's a good spot to be. Number wise, KG, I'm taking the Jackets. No question about it. Even if Georgia blows them out, they blow them out by 18, not 21, not 19 and a half, whatever the number is right now. So I feel really good about that. I think that the Yellow Jackets make it happen. And I think we seriously should start considering and get ready for an 8-4 Georgia Tech in the playoff. Like, let's be real. This is a real quality win. They got their starting quarterback. I'm just kidding.
I was like, what? I mean,
but that's what some other people try to do and say for sure. But we can be honest. We can be real.
If Georgia Tech playing a different league, they'd probably be in there. Well, excited for that one. Mac, let's finish up quickly with our big four because there's not much to say with Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville's going to Kentucky, noon on SEC Network. Louisville, 3.5-point favorite. Louisville, do not lose this game. Like, you cannot lose this game. Kentucky is 4-7. Kentucky has not scored more than 20 points this year against a Power 4 team. They've scored 20 twice. They're bad. Like, you have to go win this game. I know it's at Kentucky, which is always, a house of horrors, it seems, for Louisville. Louisville, I think, is honestly even better than their record. They're 7-4. They're better than that. The Stanford loss, of course, was terrible. This Louisville offense is really good. Like, go in there. Even if your defense didn't play great, like, even though the defense looked really good against Pitt, Kentucky cannot score. Go score 30. Go score 24 and you win. Just do it, Louisville, please.
All it takes. That's all it takes.
Please.
Yeah, I mean, that sums it up. Kentucky benched Vandergrift. They got a freshman starting at quarterback. You got to take advantage of that. This defense has to be what we think and what we've seen from it. That Clemson one-off, unbelievable defense, need that to come back. And yeah, that offense, those two true freshman running backs that have been freaks running the football. And of course, what we've seen, from Shuck all year long, just put it together. Please, please, please. I mean, this is such an annoying thing for me for the past 800 million years, it feels like. Get it done and make it happen.
Exactly. All right, Mac, before we get to our speed round, and I think I'm just going to run through the speed round. Mac has a very important meeting coming up in 5 minutes. So I got you covered on the speed round. I'm going to give you a nugget for each of these games. So before that, Mac, we got to get to a message from Ingles. I do want to ask very quickly before we let you go, Eric McLean, what was the best thing that you had at your Thanksgiving dinner?
All right, here's the deal. Now, here's another big deal. We were in the upstate of South Carolina, which you know what that means. Ingles is right down the street. We're back and forth. Whatever we need, it's there. They've got it. They're making it happen, which is always the best. But we were at Kaki's grandmother's house. We call her Muddy. That's Bill Smith's mom. And she makes the best sweet potato pie you can ever imagine. And so everything else is great. It's really, really good. It's elevated to the absolute heights. But that thing can be anywhere and stand on its own 2 feet just fine. And so that's my favorite. We're making some. We're bringing it to Blacksburg. There'll be some extras for all the crew and the huddle crew who's up there with us. But again, it's a great time. Thankful for all of you guys. KG, thankful for you as my partner. I've got to go, like you said, to a meeting. You're going to kill the speed round, but you're the best partner.
All right, let's get to a message from Ingles.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have Energy Smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Guys, Mac is a very important person, so he had a big meeting he had to get to. So I'm going to take you through this speed round. We've got quite a few games to hit on here with our speed round. Number 13, SMU is hosting Cal, 3:30 p.m. on ESPN2. That's also a game that you can kind of two-screen with Miami. SMU is looking to finish perfect in ACC play. I mean, what an incredible story for your first year in the ACC. They host a pretty good Cal team. Cal, of course, coming off that big win over Stanford with the amazing drive to win the game with Mendoza and his guys. Cal is already bowl eligible. I feel like SMU is going to handle Cal, but Cal, if you look at SMU's recent games, BC, Virginia here, Cal is probably the best team that they're going to play in that stretch. So SMU has to be ready to go. A lot on the line. We'll see if SMU comes out a little tight, but I think they handle it. NC State at North Carolina, 3:30 p.m. on ACC Network. UNC, a 3.5-point favorite. I wonder if that's going to change some before kick with this news that North Carolina has decided to move on from Mac Brown. We're going to talk a lot more about that next week on our shows and kind of give it some time. Mac Brown has always been wonderful to us on this podcast. He is an amazing human being and a Hall of Famer, and we wish him the best. UNC just decided it's time to move on, and I can understand why they're doing that. So we'll see where UNC is from a headspace perspective, and then you've got NC State, who's 5-6 and needs this win to reach a bowl game. This game is in Chapel Hill. I hope that the fans show up and honor Mac Brown with his final game coaching North Carolina, but I'm almost leaning NC State here because of the desperation for NC State and all the turmoil with North Carolina. So maybe NC State plus that 3.5. Virginia at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, 7.5-point favorite, 8 p.m. on ACC Network. This game is all about pride. It is every year. And specifically this year, it is a game for bowl eligibility. Both teams are 5-6. The winner of this goes to a bowl. The loser goes home. Virginia has perhaps overachieved. Virginia Tech has underachieved. But nothing would make this season feel like more of an underachievement for Virginia Tech fans if they lose to Virginia. So I feel like you're going to see some desperation here for Virginia Tech. Can they get Kyron Drones back? What's the status there? They've had some injury issues. I lean Virginia Tech in this game and to cover that number. Florida at Florida State, 7 p.m. ESPN. Florida's a 14.5-point favorite. that seems pretty low. I think Florida, with DJ Lagway and how he's playing, absolutely handles Florida State. Florida State, let's just have this season end and let's just move on to next year. Pittsburgh at Boston College. Boston College, a 5-point favorite, 3 p.m. on the CW. BC seems to have rallied behind Grayson James and kind of this new look. They just blew out North Carolina. They ran all over them. Pittsburgh, this seems like a pride game for them. A season that started off so promising. You're now looking at 7-5 or 8-4. There's a massive difference between 7-5 and 8-4. I think Pitt's going to play better, but I also don't know what they're looking at health-wise. Holstein, is he going to play? Who knows? I just like what Pitt's doing, or what BC's doing. Can BC win this game and get to 7-5? I tend to think so. I'm going to take BC. Duke at Wake Forest, noon on ACC Network. Duke's only a 4-point favorite. I do not know why Duke is only a 4-point favorite. I know Malik Murphy just threw 3 picks. I know that they didn't look great last week against Virginia Tech, but Duke should be more than a 4-point favorite. If there's a line I like the most, it's probably that one. Take Duke -4. Duke looking to finish 9-3. Rank the Dukies, please, if they win this game. And then finally, Stanford at San Jose State, 4 p.m. CBS. Just win, Stanford. That would be good. Please don't lose that game. But guys, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to use our code GMPOD for Underdog Fantasy. You can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash with that. So use our code and get in with some picks. We know that you are going to be sitting around full of turkey, full of stuffing, full of everything, and you're going to want to watch these games and make some picks. So get on to Underdog Fantasy. It's so much fun. Your girl won some money last week, so trying to continue that streak. We're going to post our picks on social media so you can see them there, but use our code GMPOD. We hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, listen on SiriusXM, follow on social media, all of these amazing things. And we will see you Monday for another episode as we break down what the heck happened during this rivalry week. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.